As I said, I do have 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting of the Budget and Finance Committee on September 16th meeting to regular order. We thank you for those that are present. We did have those that were not able to be here tonight. They had let me know they were not going to be able to attend, so I appreciate that foreknowledge when those kind of things are going to happen. So at this point, we have got a quorum in place. We will take a look at your minutes from the August 19th meeting. That's page 2 of tonight's. Let's get tight. All right, you've had a chance to look over your minutes. Are there any adjustments or statements, or are you good with the minutes as presented? Mr. Ford makes a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Got a second by Ms. Atwood. As we look at those pieces here, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is favorable that those are our permanent minutes. All right, next up on your agenda, you'll look over your trustees' cash trial balance. Mr. Ford.
The debt service other than what we were obligated to pay this year, last year, we didn't.
We consolidated those, the ones we had to, and the others that were on variable rates,
Right.
and the others that were on fixed rates, we just left them where they were. Yes, sir. So we did not make any additional payments to debt. That's always something we can look at the end of a term. I think we had if I remember correctly, Mr. Dennis, you may remember this better than I, we had a 5-year, I believe, on that one that we just took out that we could not pay any extra to principal is the number that's coming to my mind.
Mr. Chairman, the debt that we took out for the school roof and the other school improvements, it was a 10-year fixed rate with just regular payments. You couldn't, it had what was called a no call, no pay for the first 5 years. So we're obligated to only make just the regular payment for the first 5 years. Now in year 6, we can wipe it clean, but we're obligated just for principal and interest on those first 5 years.
That, I appreciate you, sir, on that. I didn't know the terminology there, but I felt like the 5 years we were locked on that piece. So right now we have no opportunity other than some of the very lower interest locked loans to pay additional monies on debt service. Any questions on the trial balance? If not, moving to, we'll move into our financial summaries. August, you're looking at about nearly 17%, 16.7% of the fiscal year. Looking at 101 on the revenues stream. Of course, that, when you're talking revenues, you remember that property taxes, early payments will start coming in September, so you might. I'm sorry, October, after September, in October, you have the opportunity for early payments. We might see some of that start rolling in. And then, the majority of that's gonna come in, at a later time.
If you pay by 31st,
Nothing has been changed on that, to my knowledge.
that's what it is. ain't it?
2% and then a
by-
1%.
By the 31st.
I think the next month also offers a 1%. That is money that can be a bit of a loss on. Any discussion on the revenue side? Reason I brought that communication up is mostly the 3.3%. There are a couple of grants that are stuck in this piece that make it look a little off as well. The community development grants, at 850,000. The American Rescue Plan Act grant, the Health Department renovation, that's stuck on here. It looks at nearly 400,000. So there's some numbers that skew that will come at a time when those, and look a little different at a different time. You take some of those numbers out, you see a more accurate piece of where we are. There's also the SRO grant, which I assume comes in one payment sometime, not too far off. Moving into expenditures of 101. Yes, sir. So 54,310, the brush truck was purchased out of that. I don't believe that includes, Mayor, you may know the answer to this, but I don't believe that includes any of the work on the truck that was repurchased to fix in this. Okay, so that does not include the truck that was getting, I think a frame, new frame under it, I believe is what it was. I could be off, but something along those lines. It was a pretty good deal for the county, but on that deal, considering the options we were in. Back page of page 8 is your sheriff's breakdowns. Any discussion there? I think that's a one-time payment, if I remember that correctly, insurance. Yeah, that's an early one-time payment.
What it is.
Moving to, total expenditures there, page 10. Any discussion anywhere we missed in the 101? If not, moving to the 111. Here's your sheriff breakdown, so the 111. The next page is, where your revenues and expenditures of the 111 are. Any discussion 111 expenditures or revenues? If not, moving to 116, solid waste. Any discussion there?
We're basically recycling now, just cardboard,
I was,
metal.
there's a recycle of scrap metal, there's a recycle of cardboard, are the two that I know, I can't think of anything else. Your ambulance 118, revenues and expenditures. Your breakdown of expenditures are on your next page, page 15. I assume you're speaking on line item 30, what's that, 55, 130?
338, it looks like,
Yeah, 55, 338, 335 or 338?
335.
335. I know there was some restroom work going up, but I'm not sure what that expenditure is. There was some discussion to hold off on any of those. I can try to get you an answer for what work that was completed. All right, moving on to next page there, the 118, a couple of good things I see is, on 118, if we talk about big money expenditures, the overtime is staying in a good place right now, it appears. I noticed we're not even using the part-time personnel at this point, so there's some good sites there. Total sitting under the budget, 10.72%, good to see. 121, your core civic pass-through money. 122, that's county drug sheriffs. And of course, you see their drug task force, that's drug control fines and drug task force forfeitures, proceeds from confiscated property. There's been no sales. No expenditures there either. American Rescue Funding. Moving to 128, your 127, 128 are your two American Rescue, funds, money that's sitting, unspent. These are the expenditures out of those. $151 debt service. Any discussion on 151? $171. This is a location I would like for us to have a little discussion on. 171 is that capital projects fund that's, has 300,000 deposited into it yearly. The CD that the county put, the budget finance requested last year, it matures in October, so next month. Of course, we set that for the investment income, the interest income of that to go into debt service. That will mature and not be able to refund at that time, that CD. But there's 800,000 and there's nearly 450, there's 450 plus in the American Rescue Plan money that would be available, if this committee sees to recommend to have those items moved into a CD. It's there now. Those funds are available as of right now. So we could have one CD about to mature, another that we're ready to put into. I think interest rates are still in the high fours, at our local banks. My suggestion, if anyone doesn't see a reason to not go in that route, is to, move in those directions if we see the need right now.
Is it one or the other? You could pay it against something you own, that you own, and eliminate that much of the interest.
No, sir, we don't have anything we could, I agree when, in most cases, but in this case, we don't have anything earning interest at a higher enough rate to oversee that piece. So we're on locked interest rates on some very low rates. If you go back to, 151. I apologize, your interest rates are no longer, they're not right there because they haven't, did I mention? That's correct. They'll be back on the trustees, balance at the,
Which page you
give me a second. Yeah, but those are locked. And we can't pay on those for 5 years. That's the new. We can't pay an additional amount on those for 5 years. We can't pay on. So Mr. Ford asked the questions, instead of putting that money we're discussing into a CD, is it not better to pay down on a loan instead of it being a wash of money? That's what I was thinking in that case. We'll get those together, but I'm pretty sure, very confident that the only CD we have that's drawn above 4%, I mean, the only loan we have that's drawn above 4% is the loan we just took out, which was that school and the, school roof project the county funded, and then the school took the other half of that.
just a thought.
Oh, I agreed 100%, and I like your thinking. I want you to hear me on that 100%. I think in this case, though, that those two, we can't pay anything on principal for 5 years. It's a 10-year note, but we can't add anything to principal for 5 years. The others are small interest loans, if memory serves me, that are locked rates of pretty decent interest, 2% range.
Percent the bank, you're making on that end of it.
Yes, 100%. If you can pay it back, pay it off, you're better off in that case. Just something for this committee to consider, those pieces. Mayor, do you have any thoughts of why we would not want to, look at some of that money being moved into a CD? Any, I mean, it ties it up for a bit of time is the real concern, but it can also make interest off of it. 5% on $1 million is $50,000 in X amount of time. That's pretty, I know those are rough estimates, but they're not real rough. It would just be good drawing on whatever the check amount interest is, what's a very small amount. Yes, sir. Agreed, 100%. Something for this committee to consider. Won't disagree with you, sir. I, I was off a bit on the American Rescue. It's a little over 500,000 that's available there. So you got 500,000 in American Rescue, and you got 800,000 here. That could be put, an amount of that. I'm not saying all, if all is what the committee wishes, but I think it would be in the best interest of the community for their money to allow that money to be put to work instead of just to work for somebody else. Any thoughts, Boom? I know I put a lot at you there. So something to think about if we can move on and come back to that discussion on 171 here in a few minutes, where we're at. 131 Highway Fund, the county disperses a little over 112,000, as you see there, a year to that fund. All right, coming up are, at this point, that is all of our trustees' cash balance and financial summaries. I would entertain a motion from this committee to accept the presentation or the numbers as presented and make them a permanent part of our record. Mr. Ford? So moved. I've got a second. I'll take this one by Mr. Belcher. And all those in favor of the motion, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is favorable that those be become a permanent part of our record. Yes, sir.
On 171, do we have any expectations of trying to get a little more money out of them? With 19 deaths out there that we're gonna have to turn around and we're gonna be out a lot of money in the sheriff's department. We're gonna get some help on that.
Mr. Ford, I would assure you, I imagine that, I can't speak from the sheriff, but I would imagine that they would love to have some individuals help them with tracking those dollars of cost that we have right now, so that we can present that. I believe that that comes back up for negotiation next year, if I remember that correctly, in 2025, that comes back up for negotiation. I believe that to be the case. Let's see. That was a 5-year plan, so yes, that will be correct. That'd be correct. 5 years at 300,000. Next year will be the next payment of that, the last payment of that at 300,000. The first payment of 300,000 did not get put into this fund. It got absorbed, I guess you would say, by the 101. So I think it actually bought a fire truck or something of that nature, but along the way, I'm just saying it got absorbed. But renegotiation is available, I think, next year for this, and I would hope we get some individuals that can maybe look at those costs. What are those actual costs to the county that we're talking about? It's always better to present not just a communication, but an actual, here's an outlay of what it's costing us. And here's what burden the taxpayers have gained because of this bit of a piece. But I think if we can lay that out in a well laid out document, I would say that there's not much room for them not to
Out there right now.
I think the sheriff has mentioned that he has a lot on his plate moving prisoners about. And when you speak of instances such as murder cases or investigations, those are Trowser County, if I understand it correctly. Sheriff, tell me if I'm wrong on that. Those are Trowser County's inmates once that is committed in Trousdale County. So there are some unknown pieces when that was brought to the table that now we're coming to the table, and we've got to learn how to adjust. Sheriff? That's a large number, and I think I heard you say 130 pending cases. That would seem to tie up some funds. I think the biggest thing to me is we need to be keeping a spreadsheet of cost. I just truly hope that we have enough employees somewhere in the jail or somewhere in that area that we can put that on someone that are just keeping track of each time we make a move to go pick up an inmate. What was that cost to the county? Perfect. Logging and putting it in a spreadsheet, that data will be very valuable in that negotiation.
All of them, any of them.
Sheriff, if you don't mind, either at the mic here beside Mr. Bubba Gregory or the public mic. You got it.
Am I on? Okay. What are you talking about cleaning up? We got 130 something pending cases right now out there.
When are the judges gonna start
And we have been.
already?
Oh, we've had trials, which I haven't been keeping up with all that part because that cost the county too through clerk's office. We've had several trials from out there, murders and assaults. And we had 7 to plea out last week. We got, on the 20th October, we're gonna have, grand jury again. I don't know how many more cases they'll bring us. When somebody gets sentenced, when they go to court, they already sentenced by the state of Tennessee. If they finish their sentence up, they're indicted on a charge here, they become mine then. Sometimes we have to go to Memphis or all over the state and pick people up that are being released that served their state time of a prison and bring them back to Trowson County, and they're having to serve 180 days here for simple assaults. I've got 5 right now locked up at TDOC for murder and attempted murder 3. Assault could be somebody getting stabbed or just any kind of physical injury. It could be a simple assault. And when they sentence them to 180 days when they're released from prison where they're at in the state, we have to go get them, bring them back here and serve time here in Trowson County. We're getting a lot of those now. And we got court coming up, like I say, on October, I think it's 25th. We're going to have 43 prisoners, and they'll bring them in buses and vans. And a lot of times, if they're not fingerprinted, a lot of them they'll bring it sometime like 10 or 12 at a time. I got to call in extra staff to fingerprint them and process them, then take them straight to court. I've talked to them about doing a video visitation, and they said they're going to do it, but they never get back with me. I've been working on that for a while now. That would cut down on some of our manpower issues. And last week they tore last time we had court a couple weeks ago, they pulled the wiring out of the cell, shorted it out, burned all the wiring up in the Justice Center in the back part. The lights were put on inside the cells where they should have been on the outside. And they put a plate over it. They pulled the wiring out, twisted them backwards and shorted everything out. And we have to keep them out in vans most of the time because they tear up everything. Most of them's in there for life, and they'll cuss the judge, they'll cuss us, and they know we can't do nothing to them. They think they just laugh about it.
Unfortunately, this is a situation we're gonna have to learn to deal with as we have this prison sitting here with us. So the one thing we can go do is go to the negotiating table with the cost that the county is incurring due to.
And I'm having to take my jail staff out of the jail to run pick them up, where they should be there taking care of the prisoners. I've been trying to do that to cut back on cost, but it's just a hard thing to do with what staff we got. I'm running short-handed all the time.
But I think there's gonna be a cost, but we need to figure out how that we can recuperate some of that cost off this negotiation. So we just need good data points to take to the table.
Yeah, I'm figuring everything up right now, and I'm gonna try to give y'all a presentation toward the end of the year, kind of let you know what we've done for the last 6 months.
If we can have those data points, I think that will help a whole lot in that negotiating table.
We're putting the mileage down on our vehicles, the hours we work, and trying to keep it all up as much as we can, as close as we can get to.
That is always, it's hard to work against actual
Yeah.
facts, actual dollars. So
Yeah, they told me a story when they was courting us to come here. I said what my involvement would be with this prison. They said, we'll do a plan, which we did do it, MOU, in case somebody escaped. We're responsible for the outside of the prison. Said, your involvement out here, you won't ever come here at all. And it's every day just about.
The murder cases,
Oh, yeah.
what seems to be the outcome of them?
Oh, most of them are getting life or several years. We had one lady that worked out there. She was a doctor, nurse. And, one of the inmates came through and raped her, stabbed her in the eye, both in the eyes with pencils, disfigured her face. And, she's blind in one eye now. And, he got, I think, 60 years. Was it 120? It was 60 plus 60, wasn't it?
I think as you stated on
She
this
was a
case,
social worker, one of the employees.
I think at this point though, this conversation is not going to help us any further. We've just got to have data points. That's what we
Yeah.
got to have going forward with that.
I hadn't heard anything from her.
Let's not talk about that on a recorded microphone system, okay? I'm gonna interject about the J investigation.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it.
Thank you.
All right, moving us onward. The next piece we do have a couple of budget amendments that are coming to the table. The first one is a fund balance draw. Sheriff, we might needed you to stay at the mic. There may be some questions coming here. I don't know. These are for salary positions. A guard, warrant clerk, and a courtroom, a jail guard, a courtroom, a jail warrant clerk, a jail guard, and a courtroom security guard. It would appear there's a need for $2,000 additional to the salary funding of the warrant clerk. That includes the Social Security, the state retirement, and the Medicare part of that. That there is a $10,352 fund balance draw for the jail guard. So Social Security included in that, and state retirement and Medicare, all the work cost. Fund balance draw again for a courtroom security guard at $4,265. Can you, I know it says here sheriff is moving a corrections officer to a warrant clerk position and hired a courtroom guard and a corrections officer at a higher rate than budgeted, causing the needed budget amendments. So I assume by higher rate, we're talking about a higher dollar per hour than was budgeted in last year's budget.
Yeah, usually when somebody's got experience, I usually try to start them out a little higher than what they make as a base. I've got 2 deputies I just hired that are certified deputies that got like 7 to 10 years experience. I start them out a little bit more than what I would a base person. Same way with my correction officers, they got experience, they're trained, know what they're doing. I try to start them out a little bit more.
So walk me through the jail guard. What was that budgeted at, and what did we pay it at for it to be a difference of $10,000?
You know, there should be money in my, cause I've always been short 3 or 4 people since the budget started. And there should be money there to cover these costs by the end of the year.
I do hear what you're saying. There should be money by the end of the year, but these are fund balance draws.
Yeah.
So there's not money there to cover them at this point. Noticed. I think in the past, you've had open positions, but currently, unless something's incorrect, the courtroom security and those positions are being filled.
Yes.
So those jobs won't be open. There won't be that money there available. So I guess just walk me through, as I asked there again, what was the
Well,
pay rate?
that figure was down low. It was lower than what my figures were to even hire somebody.
I understand, but I'm asking, what is the figure for the jail guard pay rate? What was it budgeted at, and what did we hire it at?
It's 1668, I think, right now.
It was budgeted at
I
1668,
think that's correct. I'd have to look back and see.
and we hired it at,
17 something.
no, sir, that wouldn't cover the $10,000. That would be about about $2,000.
Yeah.
$1 an hour is roughly $2,080 on a 40-hour salary per week.
Yeah, I don't
So
know.
that would
I'd have to look at
that'd be
it and see.
$5.
Yeah, I'd have to look at it and see on that. Yeah, I don't know any position, just one single position, I'll give that much money to.
That's just the numbers we're looking at here. That would be a $5 roughly, to get to $10,000.
Yes.
That's what it would have taken. Really close to $5 an hour higher. Mr. Ford,
Yeah, so awesome.
We're okay with them. I got one's got to go to training. We have one to quit by the time school started. And they, yes. And they've got to go through a certain training for now before they can go to school. So I've got one that's got, he's gonna have to go to Georgia for a week training. And they'd let us know before they were going to quit. I could have sent them to Gatlinburg back in the summer with the rest of them. But now I've got to send him to Georgia, and I've got to keep another guard out there too also until I get him into training.
You need motion on this.
yeah, if we would have to have a motion. I think, I understood Ms. Atwood to say it would be nice to have some additional clarity on what dollar figures we're discussing here. It seems to be a large change in what these positions were budgeted at to what they were hired at.
It could be more than one guard. I don't know. I don't know any guard that, correction officer that starts out. I started them out a little bit more an hour if they got experience. Is that just one person you're talking about? Is it multiple?
According to what we have, it would be one.
Yeah, I don't know of any that I've raised that much.
I
My
understand.
warrants clerk, I raised it up. But,
About $1. That's what that one looks like.
Yeah.
About $1. So it's less than $1, but close to $1 an hour, is
Yeah.
what you raised up. Was there, that one was hired at a person that had more
yes,
time with you?
I think I raised that 50 cents an hour or something and, something around that neighborhood. But as far as English single CO at the jail, I don't know of anybody I've gave over 50 cents to maybe $1 an hour too.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying the numbers would be showing a $5 increase to get to $10,000.
Yeah,
That's what it would take.
I don't know of any one person.
Good.
No, unless it's multiple people.
What about the courtroom security? That's just one position, correct?
Yeah, we still got another open position too.
So this one position of 42, $165 would be roughly a $2.50 an hour raise.
Well, I try to hire them all in at the same rate. My courtroom officers. Some of them been there a little bit longer, might make a little bit more than some of the others.
You have the budget amendment fund balance draw from the sheriff in front of you. Is there any action tonight from this committee? Mr. Ford? I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second? Motion fails, a lack of a second.
I would like to say that I'd just like to know a little bit more clarity on is the jail guard and the courtroom security guard, is that just one, and know what those exact figures are to see how much of an increase? If that's possible, Sheriff.
I still don't know where you're talking about this other CO. I don't have anybody I've raised that much up to.
I'm not disagreeing with you, Sheriff. I'm just saying what is presented in
Yeah,
the numbers. That's what we're trying to understand.
yes,
100% with you. I'm just not sure where these numbers line to that number.
yes.
So myself, I want some more of that clarity, personally. um, this is not, let me repeat this right here, and state this is not changing a position that's been hired. This is not stopping anything at this point. This is just, we're looking for clarity on that part. Everybody understands where that's at. We are leaving the 101 fund balance at this case without a recommendation from this committee. We are looking for additional information. The commission may go a different route, or we may get a different information soon. All right, grant funding here on the next one. You're looking at the, a couple of different grants, 3 different grants. TDA, home grant, broadband radio communications, installing public Wi-Fi and public IT, education, the, food, insecurity grant, assistance and backpack program to help. There's some different amounts to each of those. Do I hear, this is a grant. Mr. Ford? Motion to approve. Ms. Atwood with a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, let me know by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion does carry. All right. Next one up is another grant that we're looking at. This is the, Connected Communication Facilities Funding at Ward School renovation. This is a, draw on the county, fund balance of $317,000, and the additional will be a $2 million grant for a total of $2,317,000 for renovations, at the, Ward School. I have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second? I will second. Do I hear any discussion? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? I register 1 opposed. Motion does carry 4-1. With a favorable recommendation. We left one piece, that I can think of, if anyone wants to go back and look at, or we can push that off a little while longer. That part was the amount of dollars that we were discussing, that possibly could be pushed onto a CD. As I stated, the current CD matures in October, so we could take it and look back at it between now and then, if you wish. I could. A little, 4.85, I know one of them was, but I can't guarantee you what they are. I know there was a 4.85 the other day, I can say that for sure.
Mr. Chairman, of course, the Fed's gonna look at prime this week. And it's up in the air whether they're gonna make any kind of cut. And I've heard as much as 0.75% cut. So that's anywhere from no cut to 75 basis points. That could make a huge difference on what we need to do with this money. As far as the argument goes, should we pay it towards our debt? Today, no. Tomorrow may be something different. And it depends on, striking when the iron is hot. I don't think it's going to get any better than what it is today anytime soon. But the sooner that we make that decision, whether we're going to buy a CD with this money and hopefully continue to get the kind of yield that we're getting, we need to look at it sooner rather than later. But again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know what they'll do this week. But that's what I'm seeing in the market.
what we're discussing here just is roughly $1.3 million available that could be put somewhere in those pieces. I would not disagree that I like the opportunity to put some money on a CD. So, does this committee wish to move forward, and request that we have any of that money put on a CD? Or does this committee wish to wait a month and learn where we are? That's,
Mr. Chairman,
yes, sir.
unless it's changed in the last day or two, we have a local bank in Hartsville that's paying 4.95% on a 9-month CD. That is a very strong rate. Whether they cut it or not. But 9 months at 4.95.
You hear this? Any recommendation from this committee? We have a recommendation to pursue putting the 171 capital gains, capital funds, capital projects fund monies, and the ARPA fund monies into a CD. Did I understand that correctly? I have a motion, a second for that, to that effect. Any discussion from this committee? If not, all those in favor, let it be known by stating aye. Aye. Any opposed? It is favorable. That does bring us to any other discussion items anyone has to bring to the table? If not, any public comment? Seeing none, hearing none? We have a motion to adjourn. I have a second. All those in favor, let me know by stating aye. We are adjourned. Thank you for your time.